Good evening. You are with me, Dennis Salani, and People's Channel. As you look on the screen, you see a window. What do you see through the window? The window shows you the view outside. You are inside and you see the view outside, or you are outside and you see the view inside. Now, I want us to picture this view as the view of an inmate in prison, or the view of an inmate in a hospital as he or she sees the world outside. Why do I pick on these two examples, the example of inmates in prison or inmates in hospital? Because in hospital, you don't have the freedom. In prison, you don't have the freedom. I bet if one day you have been admitted in a hospital, you will remember or you will understand that depending on the severity of your condition, the more the severe the condition, you don't even move around. You are confined to your bed. You are tied to the drips. You rely on the staff on the hospital to move around, to get your meals, to get your treatment, to get your visitors according to the program of the hospital, to get a peep outside. The same as in prison. When you're in prison, you have forfeited your freedom. You see the world outside through the window. You see the people moving freely outside, some exercising, jogging, passing by, some just strolling around, some hard at work. You see the world at work outside, but you are confined inside. You are confined to the restrictions, to the demands of the schedule of inmates inside, because you are in prison, you are in punishment. You have to spend whatever sentence has been meted upon you inside the bars. Let's all remember the endured period by the most famous world prisoners, including Nelson Mandela, Walter Sisulu, Wilton Mkwai, Andrew Mlangeni, Ashmat Kathrada, Dennis Godbert, and other prisoners. It's not only in South Africa that we had people being imprisoned. We had people in other countries. We had people in Namibia, people in Mozambique, people in Zimbabwe, people in Britain, people in Iran, depending on the war or the situation in which they were imprisoned. Not forgetting people like Fidel Castro, Raul Castro. The names form a list that is endless. Now, when you are in prison, depending on the length of the term in which you are in prison, you don't have the freedom. You look at the world outside, as I've indicated. Now, after the end of the term, you either come out with something or with nothing. We've got a lot of people who have been imprisoned, and when they came out with something in their hand to change the world, to make life better for the people outside. In other words, they came out reformed, they came out changed, they came out new people. But there are people, of course, who, no matter how long or short they spent inside, they came out the same. If they were criminals, they continued to do crime, to make the people's life difficult, to make society unbearable. Now, you are free, I suppose, unless you are inside. If you are inside the prison or inside the hospital, you are not free, but you can make a choice once you go outside to change the world, to change life outside, to make an impact in the lives of the people outside. Now, coming back to you who are not in prison, because that is the intention of my discussion. The intention of my discussion is to say, do you ever take time to ask yourself, what do you do with the time that you have? What do you do with the freedom that you have? Civil society is born-bred into different freedoms. You have the freedom association, the freedom to speech, the freedom to do what is right, and arguably also the freedom to do what is wrong, because freedom does not restrict you, but it only cautions you that with the freedom goes along the responsibilities. Now, what do you do with your freedom? What do you do with your time? How do you spend your time to make your life better, to make the life of the next person better, to make the life of society better? What do you do in your society? My argument is that if you are not doing something, you have to change. You have to look at something, choose something in your life that you can do to change the life of the people around you, because that is the main reason you have been given that freedom, if you like, by the Creator, because the Creator had the purpose when He brought you where you are, when He gave you the life that you have. You don't live because you have awarded yourself life. You live because the Creator has given you life. What do you do with the time at your hand? There are many people who are doing great things. There are many people who are writing books that people read and learn new things that they can implement in their lives, change their lives, change around the lives of the neighborhoods in which they are living, to change the life of the people across their countries, and of course, to change the people the world over. There are people who make videos. I'm one of them. I'm trying my level best to come with topics that if you give time to listen, if you give time to watch, because I do videos and audios, that you can gain something, or you can input something that can become a wave to change our lives for the better, to change society, to change the world, to become a good place for all of us. There are people who write films, people who write television stories. There are people who take their time to do research and come with new gadgets. There is one gadget that I want to share with you. This gadget, you'll tell me whether you recommend it or not. But what I'm saying is that someone took time, spent his or her time, energy, and resources to come up with the device. This device, it is used to block traffic cameras against recording your registration numbers in case you are speeding. It's an example of what some other people are doing in our lives to change our lives. There is a device that I think is still under development, but will hit the streets anytime from now. This device, it's placed inside or let me say between your eyes and the spectacles that you are wearing, should you become a victim of murder, that device records the last incident before you become cold, and it makes it easier for law enforcers to trace the culprits and bring them to book. Let's take out death in the picture and remain with the recovery of the people who caused the culprits death. There are devices that will cook food and keep it warm for a long time. If there is oily soap, that soap will remain liquid and it won't coagulate. So if you're traveling a long distance, you don't have a problem of having to get a stove or plate or something to warm the soup. You eat as you go. Now there are devices that I would like to call immediate purpose devices. These are devices that you use now and solve a little problem or a big problem for now. And there are devices that I would like to call medium devices. And there are devices that I call long range devices. These are devices that could be used for achieving purposes over long periods of time, exceeding 2 months, 3 months, like that. For example, there are people who are inventing something that could help a person who is having a problem with high blood pressure to, over a period of time, reduce the effect that causes high blood pressure in the body. There are devices that need to be improved. You remember that the person who started with the telephone, Alexander Graham Bell, he started a telephone that used a long string and 2 people used containers or receivers to communicate. Look where we are today. We have a cell phone that you can use over long distances and you connect immediately. And out of that, we have walkie-talkies that can be used by the police officers on duty. Now, my argument or my discussion is to indicate that use the freedom that you have to impact on the life around. Refuse to spend a day without coming with something that could cause a wave of change. Be a change agent. Use your freedom to become a change agent. Use your freedom whether you are employed or unemployed, whether you are attending school or not, whether you are working or not, whether you're a sport person or not. Use your freedom, use your time, your resources, your energy to bring something that will benefit everyone. Desist from using your time to become a nuisance. There are people who come with annoying ideas. There are people who plan to distract, vandalize, put robots out of work. There are people who come with ideas on how to mix new drugs. Don't use that freedom that you have for things that will cause more distraction and more harm to society, but use your God-given, use your Creator-given freedom to come with something very positive, very enhancing, that takes us from one level to another level. Be a change agent using the freedom that you have. I wanted to share this with you, and please, if you have time from your hectic schedule, share with me, what are your ideas to change the life of the people around you, to change the life of the people all over the world? Let me hear from you.